heart to learning, open up my heart to love. Help me to know myself and how I should learn. I open up to learning, I open up to joy. Help me to learn a language and let it be.
Hi everyone, today we're going to make a type of Lebanese chicken with yogurt. So let's go and see what we need. Right, here we are, and we're going to be making Lebanese chicken. Okay, so of course the first ingredient you're going to need is indeed chicken. Now, of course, there's always the big debate about whether chicken should be washed or not. It's up to you, but either way, the chicken does need to be seasoned. There's a lot of spices going in this chicken, so you need to be very careful you don't make it too salty. So first of all, decide how much chicken you need. Here we are. So I'm going for 2 breasts there. And then, of course, we need to season it. Okay, so let's just have a look and see how we're going to do that. Now, because it's going to be salty, I recommend that you use a little drop of a store-packed seasoning, maybe something like this, you know. Alternatively, some salt and pepper would work very well. And just rub it in to make sure that it's ready. Okay, so yeah, just give that a little bit of a rub, not too much. It depends how salty you like it, to be honest with you. So there we are. I just have 2 breasts here. I'm not going to be eating it, okay? So it's for the family. And I'll make more than enough marinade so that if they want more chicken, there's plenty left and I can cook a fresh batch of it tomorrow. Okay, right. So that's the chicken more or less done, as you can see. And all that's left is for me to really make the marinade. I'll just give that a drop more. My family loves salty chicken, you know. So there we are. Right, so I can move this out the way. And indeed, I can move the chicken out the way just for a moment. Right, so I'll put that over here. And then next, we want to make the marinade. Okay, so here's another bowl. You can see here. And the instructions say that I should use 4 cups of yogurt. Now, of course, I've chosen Greek yogurt. That is the best yogurt for this kind of thing. So 4 cups. So let me just find my little cup. When they say 4 cups, they do actually mean British cups, okay, which is the little cup like this. Yeah. Now, I don't know what that is in the metric system, but I will find out for you. Okay, I promise. And I'll put it on the screen later, so it should be flashing up around now. Right, so 4 cups of yogurt. Let's just get a spoon and mark out the 4 cups. Right, so let's give it a stir, first of all. Right, 4 cups. So that's definitely 1 cup. You just and this is going to be the 2nd cup now. You can see. There we are. We've got 2 cups there. There. This is number 3, more or less. Of course, I'm making slightly more than is needed because most of this marinade will be left over, and I'll show you why later. Okay, so that's number 3. We have just, well, I'm going to leave it at 3 because I think that's quite enough, to be honest. Right, I'll put the yogurt to one side. Now, that's delicious, really. That really is nice, that. Okay, now what we need to do is to add all of these spices and lemon juice, and I'm going to show you what these are. Now, the first thing, of course, is garlic. Now, I prefer the jarred garlic because it's less work, okay? Very lazy garlic, as it's called here. So I'm going to begin by using the garlic. Depending on how garlicky you want it, you can have 1 or 2 spoonfuls. Okay, so just pop that in. Let me just bring that forward so you can see it. Right. So that's the garlic, basically. All right. I'll just give that a little mix in a minute. Well, I'll do it now rather than waiting to add everything else in. Right, next on the list is lemon juice, and it's wanting half of a squeezed lemon. Okay, but for me, I'm going to use pre-packed lemon juice. Now, again, it depends how particular you want to be about this. Okay, but this is delicious. Pre-packed lemon juice is handy for putting in drinks as well. So it says here half of a lemon. So of course this is quite strong. So I'm just going to put a few little squirts in. There we are. And next, it's asking for 1 teaspoon of salt, approximately. So again, if you do have salt handy, of course, you can use any salt that you want. I have some salt here. So again, it's asking for 1 teaspoon. So I'm not going to go exactly with the recipe here. I'm just going to, let's see, I can open up the new pack. I bought a new pack of salt the other day because I knew this one was running out. So let me just get the salt. Yeah, so 1 teaspoon. So I'm not going to do the whole teaspoon thing. I'm just going to do with my hand here as much as I think is needed. Bearing in mind that I don't want it to be too salty. Okay, so that's the salt. Right. Next, we have the spices. Now, the recipe actually asked for a store purchase of something called 7 spice. I don't have 7 spice, but I do have the equivalent spices, which is in 7 spice, if you know what I mean. Some of them anyway, not all of them. 7 spice is a mixture of cinnamon, coriander, cloves, pepper, all of the usual things, okay? And also, of course, for this particular recipe, I need to put in just a little drop of, I've got za'atar mix, Jordanian style. Okay, now this is basically full of sumac. If you don't have it, it really is no big problem. You can leave it out. In fact, these spices are very flexible. My recipe is flexible, so you can decide what you want to put in or leave out. And again, you can choose the variation as well of how much you want, the quantities. So again, it's asking more or less for a teaspoon of all of these. I think a quarter of a teaspoon is probably good enough if you don't want it so strong. So this is my little spoon, not quite as big as a teaspoon. So I'm going to go for this. Okay, so I'll just put this in. I mean, if I was doing this myself, I just would pour in, the herbs. I don't really have a lot of patience for the quarter of teaspoon thing. So let me just put that in. Right, that's the sumac. Paprika is the next thing. Paprika. Make sure you use the mild and sweet. You don't want the hot one, okay? Because it's too hot for a recipe like this. Oops. Oh. Yeah, just put it there. Yeah. Next is the coriander. This is the ground coriander, not the fresh green coriander. Okay. Just a drop of that in. Again, you can vary how much you want. A tiny drop of garam masala, not too much, okay, because you don't want this to turn into an Indian recipe, but just a tiny bit. There we are. Cinnamon, again, depends on you exactly how much you want in here. Quarter of a teaspoon, according to my recipe. I'm just going to use a pinch because I don't really want it overwhelmed. Nutmeg as well, it's the next one. So we'll just put that here. Again, very powerful. So be careful. And don't let the kids near this because, as you know, nutmeg can be a hallucinogenic if you use too much of it. Right, cloves. To drop. There we are. Ground cumin. Now you need a little bit more of ground cumin than the others because you want to give it a really nice taste. Right, so ground cumin. I'm actually going to aim for a bit more of this. There we are. You can see I'm just using my hand for this because I know exactly what I want in here. Just mixing these up. And yeah, we added the sumac. Black pepper is the one thing that's left. Not too much, of course. You don't want it to be very sour, but enough. There we are. Right, so what you want to do is to mix all of this up, making sure you get the herbs that are stuck, or the spices, I should say, shouldn't I? They're not herbs. You want to make sure you get them all in here. So you can see it still has a yogurty texture. The color hasn't changed. Some people like to add in turmeric just to make it a little bit more colorful. Let me see if I have turmeric, because if I have, I'll add it in. Yeah, I have. So some turmeric. All right. Turmeric. I think in American English that's probably turmeric with a stress somewhere else. Right. Now let me just put that in. Let's take a look. See it there. It just looks like yogurt, doesn't it? Okay, let's see how it's tasting. Okay, for me, that's very vague. I don't taste anything, okay? So what I'm going to do is add a drop more salt. Oh yeah, it's definitely coming. I can feel the taste there now. Took me a minute, but I got there. You know, this is the thing, because I'm British, I don't really taste anything, but no doubt people will love it. So a bit more salt, and I'm also going to add in a bit more cumin, because that's the main thing that you want people to really taste. All right. So I'll use this other spoon that I haven't put in my mouth. There we are. Let's see how that's tasting now. Yeah, that's definitely nicer. Make sure you test it and see for yourself what you like and what you don't like. But that is very good. You know what else I'm going to add in? Just to give it a bit of a kick. Okay, I already added in some garlic, but I actually have some garlic powder here as well. So I'll just add that in there. Garlic granules. Okay, so you can make it as strong or as weak as you want. And you can also decide what you want in there. I mean, this isn't in my recipe, but I'm going to add it anyway. And that's the leaves of coriander. And that can be quite powerful. So let me just put that in as well. Okay, 1 second. Let me just give this a stir. Right, so there's plenty of this waiting like this, okay? Mm-hmm. There we are. And I'm going to splash it around a little bit with my hands just to make sure it gets completely submerged. There we are, yeah. Right. It's getting a bit more of a taste now, okay? So the chicken is in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this bowl and I'm going to put it in the fridge for at least 6 hours. And when I come back, I'll show you what we're going to do with it, okay? There'll be plenty of marinade left, so I'm only cooking 2 breasts today, but that sauce, that marinade will keep, of course, for a good few days. So if I want to cook any more chicken in it later in the week, I can do that. If when I take it out of the fridge it's still a bit tasteless, probably what I'll do is I'll add some more spices and I'll also add the seasoning again. Okay, but let's hope that it's not going to be like that. I felt it a little bit tasteless, but to be honest with you, I'm British. I don't taste anything anyway. So there we are. So let's put this in the fridge and let's come back a little bit later and see what we're going to do next. Right, here we are again. And this is the chicken, which was in the fridge, marinating in the sauce. And it's now ready to be cooked. So the question is, how are we going to cook it? Well, it's very versatile. You can bake it in the oven, you can pan fry it, or you can grill it. And I'm going to grill it. All right, now let me just show you what I'll be using. This is my foodie with all of the different controls on it. So I'm going to choose grill, 240, 10 minutes, and that'll give it 5 minutes on each side. So this is going to go into the foodie to be grilled 5 minutes on each side, sitting on a little grill rack. And that's it. So I'll be back in a second to show you how it turned out. Right, let's take a look and see how it's doing. Oh, delicious. Very nice, very nice. So I'll just get a fork and move these onto the plates. And we'll have a little look and see what we think. Right. So what I did was I actually cooked these for 10 minutes. 5 minutes on each side was not enough at 240. Okay. So in a minute, I'll just need to cut into this to make sure it is cooked, because you can see there it's still looking a little bit red. So that's something I'll need to do in a minute. But overall, this is what you can expect. If you want it a bit more brown, you can add some oil on the top, of course, or into the actual marinade mixture. But with the turmeric and everything else, I think this is probably as good as we're going to get. Now, see, that's very kind of pink looking on the video, but it's actually very, very white in reality. All right, so that's more or less cooked, I can say. So wonderful. Now we are. Let me just bring the other one over. So, like twins, isn't it? Here we are. Yeah. And you can hear it sizzling away there in the background. And that's it. That is our Lebanese chicken.